It is your 49ers news now as we recap all the 49ers news that has happened throughout the day. Some decent stuff popping off. 49ers signed a defensive tackle. We've got Brock Purdy update in regards to how much he's going to get paid. It's going to be a lot. And we got some other things cooking up. Schedule release this Wednesday. George Kittle tipping? I don't know. We're going to find out right now. But first, you guys already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat. Smash that like button. Cue intro. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, gang? Welcome in on this Monday evening. Coming to you late, but better late than never. I figured we can talk about some of the 49ers news that's been popping off, other random things that have been going down around San Francisco 49ers territory. But not too long ago, we found out that the San Francisco 49ers had made a roster addition in the form of defensive tackle Shaquille Brown. So the 49ers brought him in for a tryout during rookie minicamp, and they signed him. Not bad for an undrafted free agent out of Troy last season. He signed with the Tennessee Titans as an undrafted free agent. He made it all the way through training camp into preseason before he was placed on injured reserve, and he was waived after the draft. So he was freshly out there. The 49ers brought him in for a tryout, and they liked what they saw, and they bring him in. He actually tests pretty well. He's a sub four. He's a sub four. Well, basically, he ran a 4.9240 at 295 pounds. That's pretty darn good for a guy moving that big. He's 6'3", short shuttles of 4.44. Not bad. 30 reps on the bench press of 225. Not bad for 6'3", 300-pound defensive lineman. But shout out to all the SDS popping in the chat. The San Francisco 49ers right now have a ton. I see why. I can see why they didn't go defensive tackle maybe later on in the draft, because they got a lot of defensive linemen right now. Let's see if we could do a quick count. I got 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And with the addition of Brown, be 18, right? So 49ers have a lot of defensive linemen on the roster. I would say, obviously, they're top heavy in the sense of Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave, and Leonard Floyd. But I believe outside of that, I would throw Malik Collins into that mix. I just want to see it with Malik first. But interesting to see how the 49ers defensive line is going to look this season. But the 49ers depth got a little bit deeper today as they brought in Shaquille Brown, formerly with the Tennessee Titans. Now he is a member of the San Francisco 49ers. We got a little tight end update as well. I didn't anticipate the 49ers bringing back Ross Dwelley at this point. So I'm not surprised that he didn't re-sign, because Ross Dwelley today signed with the Atlanta Falcons, joining our guy, Charlie Warner. So Interesting move by the Falcons to take two of the tight ends that have been entrenched in Kyle Shanahan's offense to go play for Raheem Morris, a former pupil of Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's old wide receiver coach, Raheem Morris, who's now the head coach with the Atlanta Falcons, and guarantee you he is going to be running the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay offense. And guess what? Those offense require tight ends who can block. That's why they gave Charlie Warner a 3-year, $12 million deal for a tight end who only had 11 catches over 4 years. Charlie Warner is such a good blocker. The Falcons are like, here's 12 million for your 11 catches. Oh, crazy. So, but I think it also opens up the discussion when we're talking about the 49ers tight end room, right? You've got George Kittle obviously anchoring down the group. I would say Braden Willis right now is your tight end too. That's really what it feels like. I've heard good things about Braden Willis, so I'm optimistic. I got to watch Braden Willis in training camp last year. He definitely flashed a bunch of different times. I remember my favorite play of Braden Willis at training camp last year was actually a blocking play where he sprung Brandon Ayuk for like a 60-yard touchdown. Brandon Ayuk hit a little slant pattern over the middle. Brock Purdy absolutely delivered a laser in between the linebackers. Brandon Ayuk caught it in stride. However, he needed one block, and that block came from Braden Willis, probably like 20 yards downfield on Jair Brown, and then Brandon Ayuk just cuts up field, 50-yarder touchdown from training camp last year. So I just remember that play's like burned into my brain because I was like, look at Braden Willis. Because when I looked at Braden Willis, I was like, he looks like a move tight end. He doesn't necessarily look like a guy to get down and dirty in the blocking game. But I think that was one of the things that I was impressed with him from last year's training camp. So I think he improves. I think he gets better. And I would have to say Braden Willis, your tight end 2 for the San Francisco 49ers. Because, hey, when Kittle went down, even in the Super Bowl, it was Charlie Warner and Braden Willis. So I'm going to have to say Braden Willis right now is your tight end 2 until we get to training camp and we really figure it out. All eyes are going to be on Cameron Latu this training camp. I would say that the eyes are going to start during OTAs and mandatory minicamp when you get all the veterans mixed in on the field. In about a week, we're going to get veterans out there. So all eyes on Latu. This is my thing with Latu. If Latu could catch, and I'm referencing last year's training camp, if he could have caught the balls that were thrown his way, the report on him would have been a lot different. I remember there were a couple plays where Latu actually looked really good in getting separation in one-on-one drills against some safeties, and I was like, oh, he shows some promise, and they just dropped it, So it wasn't at all a great performance by Latu in training camp. Trying to rationalize why it wasn't a great performance, I would have to assume, man, we saw that video of Dan Orlovsky showing Kyle Shanahan's playbook and going through what rookies have to digest for the install. Simple things like how you huddle, verbiage in the huddle, splits, where you line up, and of course, tight ends are used in a very specific way in Kyle Shanahan's scheme where you're pulling all over the formation. Sometimes you like will shift into the fullback spot. Like you're all over the place, and you have to understand this, or else you're not going to find success in this scheme. So I would have to assume that a lot of Latu's struggles in training camp, just I guarantee you, his head was twisted up like a pretzel. The pressure of trying to get the playbook, and then the pressure of not getting the playbook, I'm sure weighed immensely on him. So I'm curious to see what Latu looks like heading into his second training camp, but we'll have to see. He has not participated since training camp last year. So this is a make or break training camp for Cameron Latu. So we'll have to see. Sticking in the tight end room, we also have Eric Sobert. He is a journeyman veteran. He's been on a bunch of different teams. So we'll see. At this point, I think he could be that veteran tight end depth. But I'm definitely tilting Braden Willis over Sobert right now. And then you've got Mason Pline, the undrafted free agent out of Furman. Converted basketball player. We'll see if what he looks like in training camp once the pads come on. I think that's the main thing that I'm looking for, especially for guys like that. Just get the pads on. Let's see what they're cooking like when it's all said and done. And then we got one more tight end, Jake Tonges. Honestly, haven't seen a whole lot from him, so we'll see. I would not be surprised, though, if we see the 49ers add a veteran tight end heading into training camp. They might not do it right now for OTAs or mandatory minicamp, but I could see it for training camp. Robert Tonyan feels like he could be a nice little receiving threat. We had an internal promotion, and I got to learn a little bit more about our guy Josh Williams. So Josh Williams, as you can see in the photo, he is the 49ers national scout, and he was recently promoted to the director of scouting and football operations. That sounds like a fancy title. I don't know exactly what it all means, but I would assume that it means he is the top dog when it comes to managing scouts and all those different types of things and everything that comes along with that. But his story, I honestly, I'm keeping 100 with you guys. I knew nothing about this guy until this was announced today. And then when I did my research into him and learning more about who he is, this dude seems legit. Like I came away just looking at the resume, I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy's been on the 49ers staff for 12 years. Think about that. 12 years. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have not been here for 12 years. We had 1 year of Chip Kelly in there. We had 1 year of Jim Tomsula in there. We had multiple years of Bulky and Harbaugh in there. So this guy has been rocking with the Niners since 2011, and he's been in the 49ers organization for 12 years, going on 13 years. And that's pretty awesome, honestly. To be able to withstand that many regimes, different staffs, different general managers, and be able to build his way up the ranks, starting out as a scouting assistant and then just working his way up. I find it fascinating. And he's got a bachelor's degree in psychology. And he worked in the finance sector in New York. This guy's fascinating. I can't wait to learn more about him. And Fowler, Jeremy Fowler, who initially reported this, said that he is going to basically alluded to the fact that he's probably going to be a general manager candidate not too long from now. And based on the resume, I could absolutely see it. So, Josh Williams, nice to meet you, and congratulations on on the promotion. That's pretty freaking cool. And I said this on the video that I did about him, but I love that he has a psychology degree. I feel like if you're gonna be a scout, you have to know about psychology. Like you we being a scout is so much more than just trying to be like, hey, can this guy run fast? It's so much more about just trying to like look at someone and be like, oh, that's an athlete. You got to figure out how these guys work, how they handle situations, how they handle adverse situations. How are they going to manage success? How are they going to manage failures? How are they going to manage pressure? That's all psychology, man. And that's what makes players. Like when we talk about Brock Purdy's success, you know, we look at Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Everyone knocks him every chance they get on his physical traits. But it's like, when are people going to talk about the psychological aspect to Brock Purdy's game that makes him one of the best quarterbacks on the face of the planet? A lot of it has to do with his mentality. A lot of it has to do with how he handles pressure, how he processes information, and just how he goes about being a leader and handling all of it, handling the weight of one of the most storied franchises in pro sport outside of football, and just being able to put the weight of a franchise on his shoulder at 23, 24 years old and not crumble. That's psychology. That has nothing to do with physical attributes. The ability to be discussed, ridiculed, and commented on by every media person who has a microphone in front of them because he became the hottest story in football. That's like a lot. That's like high level mental fortitude that makes Brock Purdy great. Obviously, he has the physical tools to back it up, but it's the mental, and that's why I love that he has a psychology background. I think that's pretty cool, and the fact that he's a scout. Um, I think you tie all those things together. You obviously have to be able to assess technical aspects of people's games. You have to be able to assess the physical traits. But I think a lot of people could do that. I think a lot of people can look at someone and be like, "Yeah, this guy cuts really good. This guy runs really fast. This guy high points the ball really well." A lot of people could do that. It's the finer nuance to scouting of trying to get in the nitty-gritty of like what really motivates these guys to be great, and how does their brain work? How does their You know what I mean? And I think that's why the 49ers have been so good at drafting. You look at a lot of the players that they take. They definitely have an emphasis on this aspect of evaluation. And I love the fact that this guy is now in a big time role. So Josh, his name is Josh Williams, director of scouting and football operations. Congratulations! I'm excited to see where his career goes. He's a Bay Area kid, local California. Grew up in Santa Rosa, so went to school in San Francisco. Love it. Down. Let's see what we get. See what role. The unfortunate part of this is he will probably be he will probably be hired by someone else within the next 5 years to be their general manager. That's the one drawback of seeing someone like this elevated up. But that's a 49ers problem. That's a good problem for him. Let's take a look. I think this was the biggest news of the day for the NFL in general was Jared Goff getting so much money from the Detroit Lions. He signed a 4-year, $212 million contract extension that includes $170 million guaranteed. Jared Goff, my guy Jared. Let me make this a little bit bigger. You see the cow, the cow towel behind me. Jared, I watched all 4 years of you at Cal. You were my quarterback one of my college team. I couldn't root for you for a long time because you're a Rams quarterback. And you had your flaws as a Ram quarterback, but I still believed, Jared. I knew deep down that you could be a good quarterback in this league. Fast forward, gets traded to the Detroit Lions, and he has rejuvenated his career. And now he becomes, I feel like we have some new rivalries bubbling up. I feel like I've been kind of feeling it this offseason. I don't know if you guys feel it, but it's like the Detroit, like the teams we played in the playoffs, the Detroit Lions and the Packers. Packers, that's always been there. We've always had beef with the Packers. Nothing new there. But the Lions have been irrelevant for my lifetime. So this is the first time ever that I have seen the Detroit Lions relevant. And they almost, I was at that game at Levi Stadium. I was at that NFC Championship game. I did not feel good at halftime. No, I did not. Oh boy. I wish I could properly depict the scene at Levi Stadium. What were they down at halftime? It was like 24-7. I think that was the score. It's like 24-7, pure silence around me. There were a ton of Lions fans. I believe that NFC Championship game was the most I had seen an opposing fan base come into Levi's. And Journey comes on. Journey comes on at halftime. And they start singing Don't Stop Believing. Guys, that was the saddest, most lifeless, and not talking about Journey. Journey was great. The stadium, the most lifeless and saddest I think I have ever. I don't know if that had to do with just how I was feeling at the time, but like you could catch the vibe of the whole stadium. It wasn't great. And they played Don't Stop Believing. And guess what? 49ers didn't stop believing. And somehow, some way, the 49ers got it done to beat Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions to go to the Super Bowl in improbable fashion. That was my heart could not take that game right off the back of the Green Bay Packers game. Jeez, man. I still think that to this day, the Green Bay Packers game, that might have been the most, I don't even know the words to describe that playoff game. That playoff game elicited so many different emotions. So many different emotions. And when Drake Greenlaw picked off Jordan Love, I can't describe the feeling. I could feel Levi's under me shaking. I can't describe that game. But anyways, I'm off on a tangent. I'm off on memory lane right about now. The whole point of this was we'll be seeing a lot more Jared Goff. We'll be seeing a lot more Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. So obviously that's one aspect of what the deal means for the San Francisco 49ers. The other aspect is that Brock Purdy is going to get paid. If there was any doubt that Brock Purdy was going to get paid, this erases it. Because I think we're all in the boat of, at minimum, Brock Purdy is going to put up a similar season that he did in 2023. I believe the outcome of next season will be he actually outperforms what he did last year, because that was his first full year as a starter coming off UCL surgery. I think this year's going to be completely different. I think we see a completely different Brock Purdy in the sense of, I don't even know how to explain it, because he already had such an amazing year. I think we see a more confident Brock Purdy. I think we see even a little bit more zip. I think we see a little more spice on that deep ball. I think Purdy takes a step forward in his own development as a 24-year-old who has one full season as a starter under his belt. I think he takes that step forward. I think he improves. I don't look at Brock as a guy who will crumble under the pressure of losing a Super Bowl. Of when I talk to Brock Purdy at his camp, I honestly, it's hard to quantify the presence that he carries. Because when I'm talking to Brock, I'm like, dude, you're 24 years old. I'm 10 years older than Brock. 10 years older than Brock. I'm talking to this guy, and I'm just like, bro, you do not seem 10 years younger than me. At all. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. He's built for it. He's built for this. I'm not built for this. I couldn't be the quarterback of the 49ers. Hell no. Brock is built for this, man. And because he's built for this, I don't think that he will suffer any setbacks or regression like I do believe some people think will set in. So I think Brock actually takes a step forward and improves in certain areas, because I don't think Brock is a perfect quarterback. I don't think the perfect quarterback exists. So just like you hear in the NFL all the time, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. I think Brock Purdy gets better in 2024. And as a result of him getting better, he's going to get paid. Before, I thought that the floor was $45 million, the Kirk Cousins deal. I thought that was the floor until he got paid. And then I'm like, all right, well, the floor is 50. The floor is 50. There's already 5 quarterbacks who are over 50. Yeah, the floor for Brock Purdy is $50 million per year on average. So Brock's gonna get paid, because I anticipate he has a better season next year. And I had mentioned this. I'll pose this question to you guys. If Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl and wins the MVP, regular season MVP, Super Bowl, W, 6th ring, delivered. He's got to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, right? Like without blinking an eye, right? Regular season MVP, wins a Super Bowl, blank check, right? Regardless of how you perceive his physical ability, where he ranks in the spectrum of quarterbacks, if he does those things in just his second year as a starter, eligible for a contract, he's got to be the highest paid quarterback in football. I would imagine that's what's coming our way. You can let me know what you think in the chat for sure. Mumbo says, you never fail to go live during a Giants game. Are the Giants playing? I have no idea. I apologize. I don't follow baseball. My apologies for making you conflicted. Are the Giants doing any good this year? I've been kind of looking. Doesn't seem like it's been all that great for them. But hey, I don't know. I don't know what's been going on. Hopefully they're doing all right. But let's see. Brian says, hey, Brad, what is your passing yards this year for Brock? I would have to say Brock goes. I would have to say Brock clears 4,500 passing yards, which would be a new franchise record, basically defeating himself. Brock Purdy has the opportunity to just keep competing with himself and breaking franchise record after franchise record. Last season, Brock Purdy broke the franchise record with 4,280 yards. He had 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 69.4 completion percentage, and a passer rating of 113. Let's see. Brock didn't play in that final game. Remember? Didn't play in the final game versus the Rams. And honestly, there's a good portion of those games last year where they were just running the ball to get the game over with in the fourth quarter. So I think without a doubt, Brock Purdy clears 4,500 passing yards. I think he, if he plays all 17, and I think that's a very important distinction. If he plays all 17 games, and I would say 85% of those games he plays in the fourth quarter because, blowouts happen when you play the 49ers. Ask the Cowboys. I would anticipate Brock throws for 4,700 yards. And if you bump that 85% in the fourth to 95% in the fourth, meaning more competitive games, Brock finds himself in more duels where he's either having to come from behind or just keep just keep fighting for the W. There's a chance, there's a world that exists where Brock could go for 5,000. Now, that's rich. That's rich. I would say that would be the high bar. Is 5,000 passing yards on the season. But I think he's capable of it. With this offense, I think something that we haven't really discussed much is I think we're going to see an evolution in Kyle Shanahan's offense. I think we're going to see them pass more. I think they're going to spread it out more. I feel like Kyle has been in the lab cooking. You know what I mean? We've seen Kyle evolve his scheme. This isn't new. Remember when they first showed up with the Niners, predominantly outside zone. They like took the league by storm. Everyone's running outside zone now. Then he kind of went against the grain, went way more gap scheme. He's been evolving, because one thing that Kyle does as a play caller and play designer is he tries to do the opposite of what teams are trying to stop. So if all the teams are trying to stop Christian McCaffrey and the run game, I just feel like Kyle is going to be like, well, then we're going to air it out more. I feel like, I think back to when the 49ers absolutely destroyed the Eagles. They went 3 and out their first 2 drives, but all 6 plays were passing plays. And I remember banging my head against the table because I remember in like the pregame shows leading up to that game, I was like, we got to establish the run. Like, look at the shirt. I was like, we got to establish the run against the Eagles. We got to assert dominance on the line of scrimmage. Kyle said, nope. He said, no, we're going to pass it 6 straight times and go 3 and out, put up negative 6 yards in the first quarter. But we're going to absolutely destroy the Eagles. I think we're going to see an evolution. I think the questions, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, the questions about the tight end position. Why aren't they bringing in more tight ends? Because the 49ers under Kyle Shanahan have run so many 2 tight end sets because of the run game. If you're taking a tight end off the field and you're putting a Ricky Pearsall in, that changes the scheme. It changes the looks. It changes the defensive personnel packages that are going to match up against the 49ers. It puts defenses in more nickel packages. That means a linebacker or defensive lineman goes off the field. They bring in another cornerback to match up against the 49ers, maybe going more 3 wide. But the beauty of going with more wide receivers on the field is you can open up the box. And you could still utilize zone running concepts, gap scheme concepts with Christian McCaffrey out of shotgun or out of different packages that just utilize more wide receivers on the field. Less 2 tight sets, more 3 wide. Predominantly under Kyle Shanahan, they have been one of the teams that go 3 wide less than any other team like in the league, it feels like, because they have been so reliant on the run game. But I think we're going to see the transition from Kyle feeling like he needs to win it all with his scheme on the ground to having faith and trust in Brock to be able to put the ball and spray it all over the field. And I think we're going to see evolution. I don't know. It's kind of how I'm thinking of it. I'm like, we didn't put a lot of emphasis on the tight end too, which was like, you guys know me. I watch all the offensive tape. That tight end 2 is crucial to a lot of the 49ers run game. But if they're evolving, and you could theoretically use Kyle Juszczyk as a tight end 2, which I would like to see more of, if they're not using him as a traditional fullback, I think that could be another element. That could be another piece to the puzzle of how you kind of evolve the scheme a little bit. So I'm excited to see what we get. Our newest 49er fan, Britt, says, my Niners blanket and mug arrived today. And what Brock did last season shocked people. And I agree. He's getting paid. Love it. Got to start repping. So, based on the Jared Goff news, based on kind of how I see Brock Purdy and everything else kind of evolving, and I do believe he's going to have a good season. And that to me translates into Brock is going to get paid. He's going to I think when you already got the owner talking about Brock Purdy getting paid, I think it's safe to say Brock's here to stay, and I'm absolutely down. I'm here for it. And yes, is it going to cost? Are the 49ers going to have to get creative in how they keep this team together? Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's just the price of doing business. So we'll see. I don't have any problems with it. I expect Brock to get paid, and I expect it all to play out for the better. And again, if Brock delivers a Super Bowl next year, no one cares. Write him the check. This fan base, this organization, man, do we need a Super Bowl? So if Brock delivers the Super Bowl, blank check. I don't even care. That's how I feel right now. I might care in 2025, but right now in 2024, I don't care. Right now, gosh, we need a ring, man. We need a freaking ring. For the last, what is it? Last 2 decades? For the last 2 decades of the ups and the downs, being so close, the heartbreak, dude, we need a ring, man. We're getting desperate. We're getting desperate out here. But hey, hopefully we can turn that desperation into sweet victory. And we get the monkey off our back, just like Steve Young did. So sooner or later, we'll get there. But as it stands right now, we got another long road ahead. But the journey's begun. It started with rookie minicamp. And then it will be OTAs, mandatory minicamp. Those are the next stages. We've got what do we got this week? We've got schedule release on Wednesday, and we have the Dwight Clark event on Thursday, and then I think we got OTAs next week. And all that stuff. So we're close. We're very, very close. But anyways, that is your 49ers news for the day. We got a defensive line signing. We got an internal promotion. Jared Goff getting paid, which means Brock Purdy's going to get paid. Ross Dwelley's not returning. Could that be, again, more tying into the fact that we could be seeing a bit of an evolution in the offense? Could be. Could be. But shout out to everyone for tapping in today and staying locked in on the channel throughout the off season. I know we're still going to have a couple more weeks of stuff to cover and talk about before it gets real slow, but it's going to be the calm before the storm, before training camp. And I just can't wait till we get to talk about pads. That's what I'm most looking for sure. So, Jim says the math is Purdy will struggle. What math is that? Is that Rams math? What math determines Brock Purdy struggles next year? Curious to see what logic Mr. Everett can bring to the table. We'll see if he can step up to the task. But the math ain't mathin', in my opinion. I think the math says Brock takes steps forward next year. he said Rams own the 49ers week 18. You did. Congratulations. I don't know how we are going to collectively get over the Sam Darnold Carson Wentz Bowl, but I think we'll figure it out. I think we'll dig deep inside to be like, man, the Rams got the best of us in the Carson Wentz Sam Darnold Bowl. But I think we'll figure out a way to get over it. Hey, man, Carson Wentz has our number. Going back to the Philly days, he's got our number. I guess we're owned by Carson Wentz. I guess that's how it works, right? We're owned by Carson Wentz. Oh, that's right. The Rams have Jimmy G. Ooh, are we gonna get a Jimmy G Joshua Dobbs Bowl potentially? Who wins that battle? Ooh. That's one battle I don't want to see, but I think that would be an interesting one. Who wins that? Jimmy G? Joshua Dobbs? I'm going to have to take Dobbs. I'm going to have to take Dobbs on that one. Definitely. Not a lot about what Jimmy did last year really inspired a lot. Hey man, the Rams have had a phenomenal draft the last 2 years in a row. I thought the Arizona Cardinals draft was solid, and the Seahawks draft was solid. I'm not going to say you won the draft, but I will say the division knows how to draft. They've been drafting good. You got to call it what it is. They've been drafting good. I mean, Rams got Verse and Fisk. That's crazy. To pair with Kobe and Byron, all four drafted within the last 2 years. It's crazy. And it's like, Aaron Donald, did he really matter against the 49ers? Not really. For whatever reason, I don't know if it was Daniel Brunskill or what have you, but Aaron Donald was just really a non-factor against the San Francisco 49ers for a good portion of his career. So obviously he's retired. So it'll be kind of the same. I would call it a wash, because he really didn't do much against the 49ers as of late. Did he even do anything last year? I don't even remember him doing anything last year when Brunskill wasn't here. So, and I don't want to hear people point to the last play of the NFC Championship game. Was that 21? Because if you actually go watch the play, it wasn't. Brunskill stopped AD in his tracks, and AD stopped and tried to jump in the passing lane, but it was Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd is the one who messed up that play. Leonard Floyd messed up that play because Leonard Floyd crashed inside. Leonard Floyd took out Brunskill's legs, and the rest is history. Good times. Good times. Fun times. All I know is pain. But we still own the Rams. I don't care. I don't care. Appreciate all you guys tapping in today. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's another day. And we'll definitely have more 49ers content for you guys. As always, appreciate you guys for tapping in. Smash that like button on the video on your way out. And then until next time, I'll see you guys. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see you.